Hello and welcome everyone to Digitales. My name is Faizan, founder and CEO of East River. And today I have a very well-known influencer, content creator, model, and a writer, Fatima Hasan. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
No one knows you were a writer, you know. It's a secret that you've been keeping.
I didn't know you were going to say that. I got a little bit taken aback. I'm not actively writing these days, so I feel uncomfortable with you using that as a...
So you also write?
I also write. I used to write a lot of poetry back in the day, but I feel like ever since I've become really busy and gone super digital, I feel like that's taken a back seat and I sort of want to bring it back.
But more importantly, there's something else that most people don't know. You are a development economist.
Yes.
And you've actually done family planning out in the field and you've worked as an economist in the field.
Yes, I have.
Tell me a little bit about this because I don't think most people know this part of your life.
So, I spent about 7 years.
7 years?
Working in the development sector.
Wow.
Yes. So my first job was, we were doing a school meal incentivization program whereby we would work with children in underprivileged communities where school attendance was really low and there was high absenteeism. And we sort of tried to couple that with nutrition. And so we would incentivize parents to send their children to school and give them free meals as a result. So the family would be like, chalo, एक दिन का रोटी सालन तो बच्चे का वहाँ मिल जाएगा. So if nothing else,
तो बच्चे को खाना
स्कूल में मिल जाएगा. तो इसीलिए ही भेज दो पेट भरने के लिए. And then we would sort of track the relationship between school attendance and nutrition and meals
and what did you
enrollment.
find?
And we found that there was a positive correlation.
Really?
Yeah.
So अगर आप बच्चे को खाना free में दें स्कूल में, not only does the attendance go up,
enrollment goes up,
and the performance,
absenteeism goes down,
right,
and performance also increases.
And what would be the cost of funding one child's meal?
It was nothing. It was like $100 or something back then. This is like 7 years ago.
And you did this for 7 years. This is the program you worked on.
So this I did for about a year. That was my first door into the development sector. And then for about 6 years, I worked in family planning and reproductive health.
Okay.
And, you know, it was really interesting because there were two ends to it, right? Like, I would get to front face with donors like USAID and UK Aid and pitch to them and work on proposals and, you know, do reports for them to see.
And you were based in Karachi?
Based in Karachi. Okay. To see what the performance has been like. And then the other end was actually the end that I enjoyed the most was like traveling into the field. So like really going into remote villages and going door to door and speaking to people about family planning and the importance of, you know, healthy timing and spacing of pregnancies.
Right.
And then training field workers to sort of be able to go door to door and offer like contraception and speak to them about family planning and all of that. So it was really gratifying and really interesting work and very, very close to my heart.
And I'm sure you must have met all types of people in this journey when you were traveling around. Tell me a time when you met someone that really touched your heart, like a family or someone that really resonated, you know, with sort of what you saw.
You know, there would be people who would... So we had these clinics and all over the country. And in the deepest of rural areas, we had clinics, we had little centers, then we had these like franchise programs. So for instance, there would be like an already established, let's say, nurse or doctor, sort of a woman who'd already been like running her practice for years and the community trusted her. So we would go and sort of franchise her because she already has like a clientele. People already go to her and trust her. So we would sort of equip her and provide her with the necessary skills to just improve her performance, give some quality checks, equip her with supplies, all of that, train her, with, you know, in the latest like practices, whatever they were. And it's really interesting because, you know, these girls would come in, or these mothers would come in crying, and they'd say, our daughter can't afford to have another child, another pregnancy. Like, we're really poor. We have no money.
Right.
Like, you need to help us. Uska 8वां बच्चा होता था, या
8वां बच्चा,
8वां 9 10.
तो इसकी वजह क्या थी? मतलब उनको
they have no concept of contraception, and because they think that it's haram.
अच्छा, तो एक religious mindset का problem.
religious mindset का problem था.
तो how do you overcome that? क्योंकि वो training करना, तो वो तो मतलब that has been built in since their young ages of 3, 4, 5, 6 years age, right?
So these are things that, really, like at the local level, masjidon mein jo sermons hote hain,
right,
you need to sit down with Maulvis and that level, and jo villages की बड़ी औरतें होती हैं,
उनसे बात
करनी पड़ती है, उनको training देनी पड़ती है. And it says in the Quran,
right,
that you need to be able to provide for all your children.
Right.
Quran mein it says you need to breastfeed your child for 2
right,
years. That is contraception.
Right.
That is actually the earliest form of contraception, that it's already in the Quran.
Wow.
The first time contraception was talked about was in the Quran, कि 2 साल तक बच्चे को माँ का दूध पिलाओ.
तो इससे ये होता है कि आपने already
a woman can't get pregnant when she's breastfeeding a child, right? So उससे already एक natural contraception हो गई है. So 2 साल का space तो होना ही होना चाहिए.
Right.
And also, like, just the mother needs to be healthy enough to provide for her child and look after her child. The father needs to be earning well enough to provide for the family and the children. So there were a lot of sad cases, like a girl would be raped.
Right.
Her brothers and her dad will kill her if they find out she's pregnant. Kya kare? There's so many different situations and so many gray areas. And I'll tell you something, that hamare Quran mein bhi, and not that I'm like any authority to speak on the Quran, I'm just like talking about like, what I've read.
Right.
And even in the Pakistan Penal Code, by the way,
okay,
there is leeway for saving a woman's life. And it says that whatever necessary measures need to be taken to save a woman's life,
right,
post-abortion care is acceptable.
Interesting. But लेकिन ये तो पता ही नहीं है ज़्यादातर लोगों को.
So people don't know this. So यही होता था. We would go and educate them.
Yeah.
We had services. We had clinics. We had field health educators.
Right.
It was extensive work.
But how did you, I mean, I'm sure you met like a lot of people जिनका बहुत rigid mindset है.
So I was mostly office-based,
right,
because I'd be reporting and speaking to donors and getting in new grants. And there were people that were trained, and they were based in the field, and they were really, really good at what they did. But every now and then, we'd travel and go into these rural areas and, provide trainings and stuff like that. And that's when we'd really get exposed to a lot of different stories, a lot of different mindsets. लोग
वहाँ पे क्या मतलब, were they open-minded to concepts around new concepts or different concepts जिस पे they'd never thought about before?
They were receptive,
right,
100%, because I think they realized that, we need this. We can't go on like this.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's always people who are rigid.
Of course.
And there's always people who will sort of give you that resistance.
Yeah.
But I think we made a lot of progress. And I don't remember the exact rate now, but according to the Pakistan Demographic Health Survey, our contraceptive rate and our modern contraceptive rate. So modern contraceptive rate is like, using, for example, pills or condoms or IUDs or whatever.
Got it.
The rate did go up.
Okay. So the efforts of all of these NGOs working on family planning is making an impact.
It did make an impact.
And so you're having this impact. You're doing something that you clearly sound very passionate about.
I haven't spoken about this in years. I feel like I'm rusty, but it feels so great to talk about it.
No, and it is a very important mission. I mean, we've got a big population problem. We're the 6th largest population, in the world.
That's the thing.
And right now we're running out of food. We've got major political issues around us. How are we going to feed the people? ये तो बहुत important चीज़ है.
How are you going to feed people? How are you going to educate them? How are you going to provide employment opportunities, healthcare? There's so much. All boils down to population management.
Yeah.
Just
बच्चे कितने होंगे?
just manage your population.
Yeah.
सारे मसले automatically हल होने लग जाएंगे. हल तो नहीं होने लग जाएंगे, मगर
Right.
it'll be
Jesus-
easier to manage.
Of course.
You know?
And you're doing this, right? It's meaningful work. It's having a positive impact on the entire nation. How does content creation come into this? And I mean, how do you end up as an Instagram influencer while you're working on controlling Pakistan's population?
It feels like another lifetime and a different Fatma. And this feels like a different lifetime and a different Fatma, because I have not spoken about that in years.
Was there an overlap? Like, did it happen side by side, or was there like I'm stopping this and starting this? Like,
no, there was a slight overlap, a very slight overlap. और वो इस तरह से था कि you know, weekend पे कोई shoot कर ली.
Actually, you were modeling during this time, yeah, nahi?
I had just, towards the end of my tenure working there, I had started doing a shoot or two on the weekends,
So there was,
ramp walk here and there.
There was nothing in, let's say, for the bulk of the 7 years.
No, zero.
So then tell
Not
me,
at all.
why did you do the first shoot?
It wasn't on the plan. It wasn't on the agenda. I was never interested in becoming a model. In fact, I used to look down upon it.
Okay. Tell me then.
Jokes on me, right?
Tell me what was the first shoot that made you change your mind? Like you did a shoot somewhere.
I did a shoot.
हाँ, तो कौन सी shoot थी?
There was this shoot in Lahore for Magul. One of my really good friends hooked it up for me. He's a renowned makeup artist. It didn't change my mind. I still didn't want to do it.
But why did you do it?
That shoot, I just did it for the sake of it. Because he said, do it, it'll be nice. You look
Did
like
someone
a model.
plant the seed in your head कि ये करना चाहिए? Did you have a curiosity? Like, where was the origination of the thought around it?
See, ever since I was growing up, I was always tall and skinny, and I would get modeling offers. It was not new to me.
So you would get.
It was never new. It was never a new thing. The seeds were always there, but the seeds were rejected.
Right.
It's like a big no.
Yeah.
I never wanted to do it. I used to look down upon it. I said, you know what? I have a brain. Why would I want to do brainless work?
Right.
Like, no way. I want to make a difference. I want to change things in the world. I want to help Pakistan. You know, you're young and full of hope and promise. So all of that. And modeling to me was boring. It was dull.
Right.
Wasn't really making an impact.
Okay.
No brains involved. That's what I thought. Not that it's actually like that.
Yeah.
Right? And then... So I think here's what changed. There were a bunch of things. I got married to a very supportive man.
Right.
Who would see these offers coming in and would say, why do you keep turning them down? What's the harm? Why are you so opposed to it? It doesn't have to be one thing or the other.
Right.
You can do a shoot here and there and see how you like it.
Right.
So that's how I accepted my first, second, weekend pe kar liya, ramp walk kar li kahin, right? Wouldn't enjoy it. Hated it.
There was a man behind the push, huh? Sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
That's great.
Yeah, my husband.
That's great.
Didn't like it, didn't want to do it. However, I was also getting increasingly disillusioned with the development sector.
Why is that?
Because just like everything else, there's politics and corruption there too. Unfortunately.
And that's the last place you want to see it.
That's the last place you want to see it.
You can understand it in other places.
Yeah.
Because that's,
you don't have to agree with it, but you understand it.
But here you're like, I mean, come on.
Here
not
it's dirty. It's not nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole different topic. So I'll just leave that aside. But I was getting a little bit disillusioned with what was going on and questioning things. And
what year was this?
This was in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. 2018, I got married also.
Right.
So around 2018, I got married. I was changing. I was growing up. I just got married. Things were changing. The political landscape and the donor landscape globally was changing. Female reproductive health.
Imran Khan had just come in.
He had just come in and said some nasty things about women. And donors worldwide were pulling back funding as well.
Right.
And putting on too many conditions. Trump had come in and that negatively affected family planning and reproductive health and our funds. Pakistan's relations with other countries were getting strained. So a lot was happening, right? And so I was also questioning things and understanding how things really work in the development sector. A lot of good happens, but like a lot of bad stuff happens too. That's just how it is all over the world. I understand that now. My husband said, look, you seem really unhappy. I don't know why you go there every day. You're miserable.
Your husband was noticing that you're miserable.
Yeah. He was noticing I'm miserable. He said, you're not happy. Why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you going every day? And, but to be very honest with you, it's not like I was enjoying like the few shoots I had done. And I didn't see myself as a model. I didn't know what the next step would be. And this is all I had known. And I had big plans in life to like work in the development sector and be in the UN one day and really like represent my country. So none of it made sense. And he really pushed me. He gave me the push I needed. He said, just leave. You don't have to do anything. You can think about it. But that also was so daunting. Not having a job to go to. You know what I mean? Once you're used to that 9 to 6 life, it's very hard to like...
hard to give it up.
Give it up. But I tell you, it is the best thing I've done for myself. And I could never go back to a 9 to 5.
Wow.
Just saying.
So you actually stepped back and withdrew from development work.
Yeah. I resigned. I said... peace out, guys.
And that first day when you were home, but you didn't have a shoot and you weren't a content creator, how was that first week like?
It felt great.
Really?
I didn't have to wake up early in the morning. I had all this time to myself. I was working out.
Because some people freak out. You know that, right? Like they're like, oh my God, what do I do now?
So I thought I would freak out and I was freaking out. But when I took the plunge, I was so happy, so at peace. I had all this time to myself that I hadn't had in years.
Right.
Even after I got married, I just never had time off.
Right.
It was back to work like that.
Right.
So I was working out. I went to the gym. I did yoga. I was meditating. I was really working on myself. Took a few days off. And yeah, it was great. And then... you know, shoots started.
And then another offer came by.
Another offer came by. And thus became a new chapter. Began a new chapter.
And so now you said, okay, I have this time. And offers kept rolling in. You started taking the offers up, right? Where, at what point, matlab, you know, mind kab change hua ke nahi, ye brainless काम nahi hai. Because you said that earlier, you used to think of it differently, you used to look at this space differently.
वो तो पहली shoot में ही समझ आ गई थी कि brainless ये नहीं है.
Really? पहली shoot में?
Models are smart women.
Yeah.
They're doing really, really well. You're an artist. You're creating art.
Correct.
You are a part of art.
So why did you have that view, and why do people have that view when clearly being an artist requires a level of intellect जो हर किसी के पास नहीं है?
I think it's because people only see the end product. They just see a girl standing there looking pretty. They don't know what's gone into it. They don't see behind the scenes.
They don't see the location scout. They don't see the weather. They don't see the makeup artist, the producer, the lights, the cameras.
And the thousands of variables that can go wrong and do go wrong, but despite all of it, you gotta look your best, give your best shot.
Yeah.
You have to satisfy the brand, you have to satisfy the client, you gotta make sure their clothes are selling. You could be put in the worst conditions ever, but no one's going to see the conditions. They're just going to sit back on their phones and judge how you look in that picture.
And they won't have any idea.
They'll have no clue. Cramps हो रहे हैं आपको, गर्मी, पसीने, पानी नहीं मिला हुआ, AC नहीं है, मिट्टियाँ हैं, bathroom साफ नहीं है, you're holding your pee. There are a million things.
And
but they're just saying, she looks so bad in that shoot, or she could have done better, or this... The makeup artist is having a bad day, he's done a horrible job on your face, he's pulled your hair. There are a million things. So people don't... But you as an artist, as somebody who's intelligent, you have to make it work.
Yeah. That's
you have
hard.
to make it work. The result needs to look good. That's not easy.
And
it
I mean, some of the
requires so much
places-
skill, so much intellect, and so much like PR. You need to have really good interpersonal skills also
Right.
to be called in for the next shoot. You can't just be a pretty face.
Right.
Right?
Because
And-
if you are someone who can withstand all of these and still put out good content, तो वो कहेंगे यार ये तो इसके साथ काम करने में मजा आता है.
Exactly.
And then they call you again.
Exactly.
And again and again and again. And that's sort of how it played out.
That's how it played out.
Do you think the fact that you would go out into the field in the development space, which is again a very variable environment, हर तरह के लोग मिलते हैं, मस्जिद में भी बात कर रहे हैं मौलवी से, आप वो खातून से भी बात कर रहे हैं जिसका ट्रस्ट है सबके साथ, मतलब you mentioned some points कि I would go out and हर तरह के लोगों से मैं मिलती थी, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that helped you become a successful model because you could navigate through some of the variables
That's
in a shoot?
such a good point. I actually never thought about this. I think, yeah.
So then we should send all models to become a developmental economist for a few years, talk about family planning, and then come do shoots, huh?
Yeah. Boot camp.
Boot camp.
Model school.
What about, and I see some of the pictures, they look like places that could be really hot, like a desert, like, deserted,
Yeah.
desolate place. How do you deal with, you talked about meditation. जब इतने variables हैं, ठीक है, एक शूट के अंदर, जगह का कुछ पता नहीं, आपके साथ पूरा स्टाफ जाता है, खाना पीना जाता है, बाथरूम भी ट्रैवलिंग बाथरूम है, most people are not familiar with the location that they're shooting at, like if you're doing something really, sort of extravagant. How do you maintain your cool when everything around you is going crazy? Because your expression is the most important expression.
Yeah.
How do you maintain that?
Sometimes I don't. Just being really honest. And yeah, sometimes models snap.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. Because, we're the ones that are put through the most. Shot भी हमने देना है, skin भी हमारी खराब होनी है, makeup, like for example, we've done shoots when it's really, really cold and everybody's super covered up.
Yeah.
And like giving orders, ये करो, वो करो, expressions सही नहीं आ रहे. Look at what you're wearing, look at us.
Yeah.
We're in lawn.
Yeah.
We're freezing.
Yeah.
So हमने सब कुछ करना है और थोड़ा सा कुछ कह दिया तो she's being a diva, she's throwing a tantrum, what's going on, काम नहीं करना इसको, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But really I think you just need to be really grounded, really, really level-headed. Like I said, I try and meditate.
Yeah.
I try and ground myself. I need lots of alone time now in order to recharge my batteries and just center myself. Really.
So you won't do back-to-back shoots. You'll take some time in between. And
I've been doing back-to-back shoots because it's peak season. Peak season mein kya hota hai ki there's shoots every day, every single day. So I am shooting back-to-back, and this can be a particularly challenging time for me because then I don't get my alone time.
Right.
And I struggle to center and ground myself.
Does that affect the shoots?
I hope it doesn't. It shouldn't. As a professional, I don't want it to. But I think I've been doing an okay job. So then what I'll do is I won't socialize.
Right.
Right?
Okay, so you'll give something up then.
I have to. You have to give something up. So I won't socialize because I just don't have the battery in me to be at a shoot all day, talking to a million people, then go out and socialize, then come home and struggle to sleep, and then again be at a shoot. So there needs to be a time out. I need to come home and really center and ground myself and just be alone for a while, meditate, and then be fresh for my shoot the next day. So that's something I consciously try to do.
Interesting.
Get enough sleep, get enough rest.
And the basics are important because to put out good output, you need to have the basics done: sleep, nutrition, rest. Be at peace with yourself. All of these things matter.
Exactly. You at peace with yourself.
Yeah.
See, that's key.
Right.
I think in an industry as fickle and superficial as this one, it's only as superficial as you let it be.
Okay.
Right? So if you're at peace with yourself,
it doesn't get to you.
It won't get to you.
Yeah.
So that's key. I think.
And you did the modeling then. You got into it, you had the time. Modeling is very different from content creation and being an influencer. And we were just talking about it. And people seem to interchangeably use the word content creator hai, blogger hai, influencer hai.
Yeah.
हम बात कर रहे थे कि blogger तो खैर it came from the word of writing blogs. और फिर उनकी जो written blogs की audiences थी, ठीक है? तो they were a blogger, and then the blogger suddenly joined Instagram और फिर वो बातें करना शुरू कर दी, right? So the blogger turned into a content creator.
Yes,
right?
Of sorts.
And then you don't necessarily have to be a content creator to be an influencer. You can just be an influencer who's, out there who people want to follow.
Yes.
And they just are following your moves and you're not really creating anything. It's just out there.
They just like to see what you're wearing.
Exactly.
If they want to wear what you're wearing, you can just put up pretty pictures of your clothes. And if you're influencing people into wearing the same clothes and following the same trends, you're an influencer. That's that. So
exactly.
I think
so which one are you?
You tell me. No, so I mean, I do.
Which one do you want to be? The influencer or the content creator?
I don't like labels.
I'll put the blogger aside for a second. Even though you're a writer, so you could technically be a blogger too.
I could be a blogger. So I'll tell you and you decide. I do create my own content.
Right.
That's in fact how I started out my social media journey, not my modeling journey. I started creating content, and this happened during COVID. And I just would film my own videos, and I would come up with my own concept, film it, edit it myself, and then upload it.
What was the first video you made? When was the time that you converted from being just a model to a model and a content creator? That first video that you put up and you were unsure. You're like, I don't know if I should do this. Should I do this? Should I put it up?
Honestly, I always had a public profile.
Right.
So it was a very natural transition. It wasn't, there was no defining moment. It was a very natural crossover.
Right.
There was no intention that was set to it. And back then, this wasn't such a big thing anyway.
Right.
Ab hai. Now people wake up one day and they say, let's become a content creator or an influencer. Let's create an account. Mujhe influencer banna hai. So
and back then you were saying as if कि हम कुछ पता नहीं. I mean, this is literally three years ago, right? COVID के दौरान. Back then, उस ज़माने में जब COVID हुआ था.
But you see, it did pick up in COVID.
Because we had time.
Because we had time, and because brands couldn't do shoots.
Yeah.
So they started relying on people to create content at home and upload that. And because everybody was home, everyone was glued to their screens. So that's how it really started for me.
Right.
I already had a public profile. I would upload pictures here and there. But that's when I started really making videos. And how I started was because internationally it started.
Right.
And so I follow a lot of international bloggers or content creators. And I saw them doing cool fashion videos. And I said, hey, I want to do that. And so let's have at it,
Right.
And so I tried, and back then transition videos were like a thing. They still are, because like Pakistan is always behind, and jab jo cheez 3 saal pehle trending thi, wo brands ko ab samajh aa rahi hai, lekin ab wo purana ho gaya hai. But anyway, sorry brands, don't hate me. Keep those sponsorships coming in. Wink. No, but so then that's how I started. I started like creating content, shooting videos, and I really enjoyed it. I said, oh my God, this is so much fun. I love it. And I love the process of creation from beginning to end.
Yeah.
For me, that brings so much joy. I'd still rather shoot my own content. And people ask me, they say, what? What do you mean? You make your own videos? The edit kaun karta hai? The edit bhi tum karti ho. Because
the idea, the script, the shoot, the edit, all of it end to end, the choice of music, it's all you.
It's all me. All me. But now sometimes when I have too much on my hands, I'll hire a videographer, but I'm telling him, this is what I want. This is going to be the music. This is the angle you're shooting from. Because I too am a content creator. And by the way, sometimes that crosses over into my shoots also.
Right.
Because I'm like, oh my God, we could like use this angle or do this, or I can give you this shot.
Interesting.
But yeah, so that's how it started. And
So what part of it is fun for you? Is it the creation? So it's there's two parts to for an artist, right? It's for some people it's the creation, right? And they've created and then they stand there and they look at it and they get that sense of satisfaction, right? And then there is the appreciation part where that piece of art or that content is then put up for others to see, and then there's like, wow, that's amazing. For you, what is that? Is it the creation that gives you that satisfaction, or is it the appreciation?
Oh, it's both. I'd be lying if I say that I don't love the appreciation. I love the appreciation.
Right.
It means everything to me. It keeps me going. In fact, it's why I'm still doing it, because of the love and the appreciation that I've garnered through it,
Yeah.
and I've seen that it's inspired so many others
Yeah.
to go down a similar path, replicate a certain style or do certain videos. I love that. I think it's amazing, especially in person when people come up to me and tell me they love what I do or my videos or my stories. But because I am a creative by nature, I love to create. When I was younger, I would write a lot. I would write poetry and things. And then suddenly I wasn't doing anything too creative for a bit when I was in the development sector. And then when I was modeling, yes, it was creative, but I wasn't really creating my own art. I was a part of a creative process. I was a cog in a machine.
Interesting.
Not the best analogy, but over here, I am.
You are the creator. Exactly. Yeah. It is your product.
It's my product. So even now when brands approach me,
a
lot of them have guidelines. Not just guidelines, sorry. A lot of them have briefs and they're very, very specific about what they want. And then they'll hire 10 influencers or content creators and they'll give everybody the same brief and want them to do the exact same thing. And to me,
that doesn't make sense. Because every influencer has a different audience.
Thank you.
They're going to follow you for something different.
100%.
When they'll follow someone else for something different. Or har kisi ka style alag hai. Yes, the end consumer sitting behind you can consume the brand's products.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the brand should let you guys decide.
Absolutely.
As long as you don't violate.
Yes. Within certain guidelines. And if you tell them the end goal and the end result, you can align on certain things, right?
Yeah.
And so now when I work with brands, not just now, since day one, I said to them, listen, I need to be in creative control. I know what works for my audiences. So you need to let me have the final say. Yes, I will adhere to your guidelines and I'll help you reach your goal. But you need to leave it to me if you're using me. Otherwise, you're welcome to not hire me. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I also don't accept every project with every brand because I need to make sure it's something I would consume or it's in line with my profile, my brand. It needs to be on brand for me.
Right.
I just want to be really, really authentic with my
whatever
followers and my people and what I do. Yeah.
And I wanted to touch on that as well, right? We talked about appreciation. सारे followers के साथ एक authenticity ज़रूरी है. लेकिन we also have to keep in mind where we live, right? We live in a conservative country on average.
Yeah.
Sometimes your content is not in line with, let's say, the country's content standards that you find on TV.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you manage the reaction you get to that? First of all, do you get a reaction to that? लोग क्या कहते हैं कि यार ये क्या डाल रही हैं आप workout videos डालते हैं और ये मतलब I don't know, do you get some sort of negative reaction to that? And if so, how do you respond or manage that?
I actually get asked this question a lot. और मैं हर दफा अपने जवाब भी ऐसे ही शुरू करती हूँ कि I get asked this question a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know, call it blessed, call it lucky or whatever. I don't get a lot of negative criticism or a lot of hate. People know this, they've seen it, and they question it often that what do you do? How come you're not getting that much hate? And really, I don't know what the reason is because I do I try to be as authentic as I can be, right? So, like, for instance, I recently did this article for Dawn. They were interviewing me, and I said the same thing to them. I said, if I were to go out to a party wearing a dress, I'll put that up. And if I'm going to a milad or a majlis wearing my shalwar kurta with a dupatta on my head, because that's what's appropriate for being there, I put that up too, because that's how I am and in my everyday life. And I don't want to curate a certain image of me. मैं जैसी हूँ, I'd like people to see me that way. And I think people respect that. People see that. And also because from day one, I never pretended to be something I'm not. People who started following me knowing कि मैं exactly कैसी हूँ. Right? They didn't follow me as some Sara actress in a drama जिसका मियाँ उसको मारता है तो we love her, लेकिन अब उसने Instagram पे jeans कैसे पहन ली? वो तो सारा थी, उसका मियाँ उसको मार रहा था. They get upset because they're unable to distinguish between who she really is
between
and the character.
And
so they're probably following her for that character, not for who she is. And my greatest flex in life is that, alhamdulillah, like, I may not have millions of followers, but however many followers I have are following me for exactly knowing who I am. And I can say that with confidence because I put out so much of my life out there.
So they're following the character you play in real life. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, they're following
And
me.
I think that you've said it perfectly well, because अक्सर ये होता है कि लोग टीवी पे कुछ और देख रहे हैं, एक कैरेक्टर देख रहे हैं, फिर कैरेक्टर के साथ एक
and they
affinity,
fall in love with
and they
that.
fall in love with the character. और फिर वो जब कैरेक्टर out of character चीजें कर रहा है, which is
like what happened with that Turkish actress Irsa.
Yep.
They fell in love with her because she was playing a Muslim.
Yes.
Like I don't know what, I didn't watch the series Irtugul में. And then बेचारी ने अपनी बिकिनी की तस्वीर क्या लगा दी, पूरा पाकिस्तान पीछे पड़ गया उसके.
कि टूट पड़ा कि
She
ये
had to
क्या?
like shut her comment. I felt really bad.
Yeah, because they saw her as this character.
Yeah.
And I think ये एक problem है कि अक्सर, so I think that's where the difference between, let's say, a content creator on a social media platform and an actor with a social media presence lies. And I think that distinction brands are not able to make.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to say...
They're trying to capitalize on that, right?
They're trying to capitalize on the audience. Lekin problem ye hai कि if it's an actor playing a conservative or known for playing conservative roles and very good at that, but in real life they're not conservative, there will be a misalignment.
Yeah, but then the actors are also, see, that's a conscious decision that they have to make. They also try to play on that, right? So they'll say, oh, hamari like sleeveless mein tasveer na lagana, because like we can't be seen that way.
But how can you be authentic then?
So maybe their definition of, I mean, I'm no one
like
to sit here and comment.
I'm just saying that if I am a certain way in my everyday life, that's me, right? I choose to play an actor on television.
Yeah.
Like, actors can play all types of roles. They can play the villain,
they
hero.
Don't want to put their personal life out there. For them, they're like, we're okay just being that character with our social presence, and that gets us work, and we're okay. That's their decision. That's fine. That works for them. But I will say that I do see that changing a little bit.
Yeah.
And I may take the liberty of even saying that us influencers, I'm not saying content creator particularly, I'm just saying influencer for now. I feel like influencers may have had something to do with it.
Okay.
Because people like us started normalizing wearing whatever we're wearing and putting it out there.
Being themselves.
Yes. Right? And then so people start seeing that and being okay with it. And so I feel like that perhaps opens the door for others to start doing the same. Right. So they didn't do it for themselves because they were too scared. But I feel like we came and we started doing it. And then now I see like a lot of actors and actresses
just being themselves.
Being more themselves and being more comfortable like putting that out there.
Do you think the audiences are accepting them, or they're learning, or they're just still reacting the way they did?
That's for them to say, really. I'm not in a position to comment too much, but I'm sure it's helping a little bit. I'm sure there's some acceptance, you know. And it's not to say that I don't get the odd like message here and there and comment here and there. I do. Are you even Muslim? Sabse famous. Are you even Muslim? Is this Islamic Republic of Pakistan? And the third one, naam dekho aur kaam dekho. These are my top 3 favorite ones. I love them. They're super generic. Guys, you need to be more creative. If you're going to spew hate, please be a little creative. So ye 2-3 copy paste hote hain har jagah. But like that's really it.
What would you stumbled into this. It had its interesting natural progression. It happened because it had to happen the way it happened, right? Now a lot of younger, let's say, you know, sort of adults who are getting out of college, maybe they're in college or maybe they're getting into college, are like, you know what, I want to build a social presence. I want to be a content creator. What do you think has changed in the last 3 years since you started till now that they need to be mindful of if they jump into this? क्योंकि अब तो सब कर रहे हैं. और इन्फ्लुएंसर्स तो बल्कि you know, I mean, I'll share my sort of view on this. हम तो एक इन्फ्लुएंसर पिरामिड बनाते हैं. पिरामिड में हम कहते हैं कि at the base you've got your nano, micro, macro, mega. That's how we classify it as an agency.
Okay.
Nano influencer की सबसे छोटी, exactly, छोटी following numbers के हिसाब से अगर हम देखें, right? Mega is obviously people 500K, million plus.
Yeah.
Then there's macros, let's say 100 to 500K. Micros, let's say 50 to or maybe 25 to 100K. And nano is under 25K. When you build a marketing plan, right, for a certain product, you need to create a pyramid. There's got to be maybe 1, maybe 2 on the top. 1-2 मेगा डाल दो और फिर उस ग्रिड को पिरामिड के तौर पे फिल करो. द बेस इज नैनो, क्योंकि नैनो की जो एंगेजमेंट है द मेगा विल नेवर हैव.
Absolutely.
And the nano's followers are literally like, you know what, I want to do everything this person's doing.
Also, it's the buying power in this country.
Right.
It's very specific to Pakistan. The really big masses वाले जो influencers हैं यहाँ पे, because our masses are poor.
Right.
We're a poor country. It is what it is. So they don't really have that buying power.
Right.
If somebody who's seen you on cable TV on in a drama, who's sitting in a village, has a TV and a smartphone, but that's about it. Not much money, not much of an income. However, these other people,
right,
their followers have real money. They went to school with them. They're from Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, Faizan, whatever.
So they're nanos.
So they're nanos, micros, macros, all of them. Everyone below the
mega
million number. Yeah. So they're, and the smaller the following, the more the buying power they have. So a lot of brands have said this to me.
Yeah.
That we'd rather hire you or someone like you because your followers are just the right audience.
Right.
They have money. They have buying power.
Interesting.
Our money is getting wasted if we hire somebody with like millions of followers because all of their followers are sitting in a village.
Yeah. That's
and don't have money to buy our products. We're not interested in them.
So it's about curating the right sized audience, not just the size. Iska matlab ye hai ki the demographic has to make sense.
Demographic needs to make sense.
And
Absolutely.
So what you're displaying as a content creator, then you have to decide who your demographic is first. Ki unko dikhana kya hai?
Yeah.
Right?
Although I never decided, and like I said, it
but
wasn't
you were
strategic.
authentic.
I was just authentic. And I think that
defines everything, because if you're authentic about your interests, right? अगर किसी को गाड़ियों का शौक है या किसी को let's say knitting का शौक है, किसी को कुत्ते पालने का शौक है, right? It's as long as you're authentic about with what you do.
The right following comes through.
Because they know कि यार genuinely this person is into this.
And honestly, I think that goes for anything in life. If you're authentic about what you do, people success follows through. Just be authentic. What
a great note to conclude this chat on. Just be authentic. I think you've built a great presence, and you know the backstory of the developmental economics and what you did for family planning. What a great backstory. I think most people didn't know that. Wish you all the success. Thank you for taking the time out to chat with us. And hopefully we'll see more and more of you in the near future. And maybe you'll partner up with a brand someday and build your own label one day.
Inshallah, it's definitely part of the plan.
Part of the plan. Thank you all for tuning in to Digitales. Stay tuned, subscribe below, and stay tuned to the next episode. Bye-bye.